Alright, next we're going to talk about some of the differences, some of the things you'll see missing from mobile, and some of the things you'll see that you wouldn't see on PC. So, first of all, we're going to talk about maps. On mobile, you are only going to see the island map. That's all they have. The others are just too big. If they tried to port them over, it would kill your phone. I'm not saying it's never going to happen. You know, if some breakthrough comes through in iPhone technology or Android technology that allows our devices to run so much more, that'd be great, but it's not currently in their plans. They're trying to get us as much content and as much stability in the versions as possible, and a port of a map would be just too much to handle at this point. So don't look for the other maps, it's just the island for now. That's probably the biggest blow PC players have to take, is that it's just one map, but it's a really good map. The island is classic. Not a lot of places to hide a base, but it's got a few good ones. Also, up until recently, there has been no hope of bosses or tech on mobile. They just said it was too much, the game couldn't handle it, but they just announced that they found some optimizations that they can enable to let us fight those bosses, to let us get that tech, and it's going to be through a system of dungeons that we can get into that are going to be different every time you enter, kind of like the cavernous maze that you see in one of the caves on the other maps, where you have to go through riddles and press buttons and get through stuff. And that'll be how you get tech and fight the bosses on mobile. So we're looking forward to that. That's going to be probably in June. Right now it's late March. So I'm looking forward to bringing all y'all that content, hopefully as it comes out. And it's going to be really awesome. Because there's no tech yet, there's no Ascension yet. Again, that's supposed to come with the new update, but for now, there's no Ascension, so when you hit level 100, you're stuck at level 100. They do have mind wipes in this, that's the same as always, and they have a special kind of mind wipe called a Nirvana Tonic that you can craft up, and what it does is it resets you all the way back to level 1 permanently, so you have to level back up again normally, but you get to keep all of your engram points. So what it basically means is one player can learn all of the engrams if you spend enough time on it. Now, Mobile Ark is an old version of PC. They basically went back to an old version they felt our phones could handle and started porting that. So we've got some things PC has and some things PC doesn't have, and we've got some things that are older versions of what PC had. So there are a lot of creatures that are missing. They've been porting them over bit by bit. We've got 80 currently, I believe. That's 80. And we've got TLCs coming for them too, bit by bit as those happen. That's great. Got a couple mobile exclusive TLCs for Mammoth and for Dodo. Those are kind of cool. Those are kind of fun. And we've got some new features on Equus and all that, or Equus, however that's pronounced. But they are coming bit by bit. I can't list to you every dino that's not in here, but I'll tell you kind of the biggest ones, the ones that will affect you most, and that you'll say, oh, that's not in here, ouch. So you're going to notice, first of all, Megatherium's not in here. So when you're gathering chitin, if you're trying to be the most efficient possible, you're going to want to use a Sabertooth. So Megatherium's not in here yet. Never say never, they're working on it, they're porting them over, but Megatherium's not here yet. Ovis is missing, so no mutt. That's okay, because mobile across the board has a 1.75 taming multiplier from PC, and also offers items that make taming a lot easier. And when we do the store, when I go over the store, I'll get into that, and you'll see, it's really not that bad. There are no Thylas. A lot of people like to use those as a later game mount, and I get that. But they haven't been able to get those successfully over to mobile yet. They were planning on it, or they were working on it a few updates ago, but they realized that the climbing mechanics were going to play haywire with our phones, and they just couldn't, in good conscience, release it to us yet, knowing it would break our game. So it's on the back burner. It's not canceled. It's not like they're saying no Thylas ever, but they certainly have other priorities at this point, with dungeons coming forward, and other much easier to port dinosaurs that everybody wants. So Thylas aren't here, Eutyrannus aren't here, Daedons aren't here, Meganeria in Cave, the dragonflies, they don't have those. So they started out with those, and the problem is that the high density of dragonflies in caves people would get near a cave, the swamp cave for example, and it would crash their game. And people on the higher end devices were having no problem, but all the people on the mid to lower end devices, they couldn't handle it. So they took out the dragonflies. People have mixed feelings on that. I personally feel like you got to do what you got to do to get the game running smoothly. Thankfully, chitin's pretty easy to harvest as it is. Take a saber to swamp cave and you're set. And just, use a Dodicarus and get yourself some stone and make up that CP by hand. It's a little longer, a little more painstaking than taking a frog and just having a fun time in swamp, but you got to do what you got to do. Make it work. Another thing you're going to notice are anglers cannot collect pearls. And they don't have plans to have that happen anytime soon, because when mobile was first being ported, they didn't think they would have any water creatures or anything. So no underwater caves, no water creatures or anything like that. They didn't think mobile could handle it. They were given a bit more time on the project. They realized, we can do this. But by then they had put pearls all along the shorelines of the beaches that you can pick up by hand. That way, since they weren't going to have underwater tames, you didn't have to worry about going underwater to get pearls, just walk the beaches. So they decided to keep that in and just to not give anglers that TLC. It's a fair trade-off. You can make a lot of pearls just running the beaches. I personally find it works really well. Yeah, some people like their anglers, and a lot of the PC players, it's kind of a jolt to them when they first come over. But who likes farming pearls anyway? It's like my least favorite job anyway. So you just got to do what you got to do, and I personally like the pearls on the beaches. So a few other things that have been changed for mobile: turret placement. You can only have 10 turrets within a 16.5 foundation area. So every 16.5 foundations, you can have a turret or a tower with 10 turrets on it. And that's the maximum. And that's simply because high volumes of turrets, when someone renders in or someone flies into those turrets and they all fire, are going to crash to your phone. Just going to happen. So they had to reduce that. They buffed the turrets, however, to 2 times the damage of PC and console, and they made them twice as expensive. So basically every turret is 2 turrets. Since then, there was a bit of an outcry on easy servers over time because dinosaurs are such low levels and gear is such poor quality on easy servers. People were saying essentially turrets are overpowered. So they nerfed turrets across the board 20%, still up from the PC values, but nerfed them 20%. And then all the brutal and hard players, and I was among them, said, we're going to get slaughtered because turrets were already underpowered for brutal and hard, where you get insane gear and insane tames all the time. So from there they changed it so that on medium and EC servers it's down by 20%, on hard it's up by 20%, and on brutal it's up by 40%. Or it was 40 and 80, I can't recall, but it's been buffed on the higher servers and nerfed on the lower servers, and I really, really appreciate that because it was like a 24-hour turnaround. They released the nerf. We all got on there saying, hey, can you scale this, please, because the higher tier servers are suffering, and they had a hotfix out just like that. So this is what I love about War Drum. They just listen. They listen to the player base, and they're willing to work with you. You'll also notice that there is a difference in building height. You can only build so high on mobile. I think it's like 16 to 18 high maximum. You can use special foundations called geopolymer cement, which is really difficult to get, and you can go a little bit higher. I personally just say build shorter bases if you can. It's just not worth the effort. But that has to do with render distance, and render distance is much lower on mobile because your device would just crash if you rendered everything that a PC has to. I mentioned the servers have build and tame limits. The server limit is 100,000 buildings and 2,000 tames at any one time. If you hit that, you get a little annoying message saying, we're sorry, you're at the limit, you can't build this, or we're sorry, you're at the limit, this will stop taming. So keep an eye on that, especially when picking a new server to join. Make sure you got a bit of breathing room. Also, when picking a base location, there is a maximum amount of structures you can place in an area. I've personally only ever hit it once, and I joined a massive tribe, and they had this huge dinosaur storage, and a very unoptimized base as far as structure count goes. I think it's something like 5,000 structures to an area, and the area is, I don't know, 50 foundations wide or something like that. But keep that in mind. Try not to hit that too. Another thing you're going to notice with mobile being an older version of PC that was ported over is that it was ported over before explosives buffs were put into place. So remember back when rockets were more powerful than C4 and you had to use like 32 C4 on a vault? Yeah, well, that's normal for us. So I'm working currently on getting all of the exact values for mobile up on the wiki. Wiki is your friend, guys. They've got an awesome team on there. I try to help out where I can, but I'm a lot busy a lot of the time. But they've got an awesome team on there that's always working on getting the mobile statistics up there. Again, if you're on the Discord, there's a mobile channel, or there's a wiki channel on the Discord just for you to go in there and say, hey, this is missing from the wiki as far as mobile data. And they've got a couple of good wiki moderators there that'll take care of that for you. So definitely wiki is your friend. I've gotten a lot of my info from the wiki over time, and you just can learn a lot from spending time on there. But just keep in mind, explosives basically bring, I would say, at least 2 times as much as you think you need. And as far as I'm aware, rockets are still better than C4 as far as damage done to structures. We'll know shortly. I'm going to get all the numbers up on the wiki as soon as I can. Hopefully I can get those exact numbers. Otherwise I'm going to have to go back into the patch notes and do some crazy calculations. And hopefully those are accurate, but we'll see. Another thing you're going to notice is there is closed storage. So on PC, you walk into a base like this, you see a smithy, and a smithy, you open it up and check what's inside. Unless it's pin locked, and then you have to know the pin or you have to smash it. Well, that's not the case on mobile. On mobile, everything is tribe locked. So if you aren't in the tribe, you can't open it. So no using other people's smithies and stuff. If you're doing a raid and you want to repair your gear after, bring a foundation and a smithy of your own, because there's no sharing of that. You can't open other people's stuff. Takes a little bit to get used to, but you'll work it out. So there are a couple more things we're going to cover in this guide. The first is going to be tame request. So on mobile, they have this option. If you're on single player, you can request your tames directly to you. If you are on multiplayer, you can hit the request button and it'll bring it to the nearest bed. Now all items on the creature are lost when you do this, except the saddle, if the saddle is equipped. So that allows you to pull tames to the nearest bed and quickly teleport tames around the map if you're willing to destroy beds and do this and that. Next thing you're going to want to know is the main way to get good loot on mobile is to utilize the artifacts. So on PC, if you want to get an artifact, you're getting it so you can go fight a boss later on. On mobile, they didn't have bosses for a long time, and they're looking forward to it, but they're not going to be using artifacts for that. You don't need artifacts to tribute to go to bosses. So what you do is you take the artifacts to the obelisk anyway, and you tribute it to the obelisk, and it gives you gear. And there's a set amount of gear and set loot tables of what you can get from different dungeons and from different artifacts on different difficulties. And that's all on the wiki. But things like South Cave is going to give you hide blueprints, tool blueprints, and balms, soothing balms. Yeti Cave is going to give you compound bows, and maybe ancient amber, and scuba gear, things like that. So you get a variety of different things from different places, and that's tributing on mobile. That's going to be your main source of good gear, actually, is tributing. And the last thing we're going to go over, and I kind of teased about this a couple times, is Primal Pass. And I'm going to throw it up on the screen there since I can't really pull it up here. But Primal Pass is a subscription you can get with the app, with Wardrum, that is either a monthly or yearly thing. I think it's $35 for a year, which is what I got. Some of what it gives is exclusive to Primal Pass, and some of it you can get by watching ads normally. So first you're going to notice that you have a permanent 2 times XP boost just because you have Primal Pass. Now normal players can get this too, and they can get it if they watch an ad for an XP boost, and it lasts for them 15 minutes. So handy again if you're power leveling, if you have that focus, if you have that those notes going and you're leaving a cave or something like that as a pursuit, you can still get this 2 times for when it really counts. It's not permanent, it's not all the time, and there is a limit to how many times you can do it a day. But that's the first thing Primal Pass gives. Second is up in the right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see this little grayed out gift. Well, every hour and 20 minutes or so, you can get another gift. It's a random thing. It could be a blueprint, could be an item, could be food. Totally random. And every hour and 20 minutes it comes up as available. Well, if you don't have Primal Pass, you hit it, you watch an ad, and you claim it. If you do have Primal Pass, you just claim it. You don't have to watch an ad. So essentially, you're just removing ads from the game when you get Primal that way. Another thing I mentioned earlier, tame slots. You see it says 2 out of 18 here. That would be 2 out of 12, but I get 6 extra tame slots since I have Primal Pass. That's per character with Primal Pass. In other words, if we have a tribe and there are 4 characters, each of them have Primal Pass, that's 24 more tames for that tribe. So that's significant. Primal Pass also gives you server priority. So let's say I'm trying to join a server. It's maxed out, it has 50 players. 50 players is the maximum you'll find on mobile. Well, there are a certain number of reserved spots that a Primal Pass holder can slip into. They can push that server over 50, so it could go 51, 52. I think I've seen up to 12 Primal Pass users on a server at once. I don't know what the maximum is, but there's that. Also, there are Primal Pass exclusive servers. So you heard me mentioning Brutal servers earlier. Those are an example. Brutal is actually only available for Primal Pass holders currently. All Primal Pass servers that are just for Primal Pass members don't allow the use of crafting stations, so that's a big deal. If you want to play without crafting stations, Primal Pass is a must. And Primal Pass holders also get a little logo by their name. You can see up next to my name it says Fun Size Nomad, and there's a little wreath thing with a coin. My name would be white and boring and bland if I didn't have that, so that's an aesthetic thing if you're into that kind of thing. And last but not least, every month they come out with a promo code specifically for Primal Pass holders, which you redeem down here. I'm not currently using these in my series that I'm doing because I want to show people what it's like if I didn't have Primal Pass, at least for that aspect of it. The promo code will give you 4 things, sometimes amber, sometimes gear, equipment. I think right now it's like dodo feathers, which is part of the dodo TLC, some amber, maybe a fishing rod. I don't know what it is right now, but that's another part of the Primal Pass thing. So there are 5 or 6 different things you get from Primal Pass. I really don't think it's too huge. When my Primal Pass expires, I'm unlikely to renew it, unless I really want to play on no crafting station servers. But I don't think that's a big enough deal for me. So that's the Primal Pass for you. So I hope you all enjoyed part 2 to this little mini-series on mobile differences. Stay tuned, part 3 will be coming out in the next couple of days. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all there.